Hi, this is .NET Core Basic Tutorial Part 8, and today I'm going to show you how to use the jQuery to do this drag and drop on the table item. And this is the application that we have created in the Tutorial Part 7, and I have reused this application and put in this jQuery drag and drop feature to let you do something like this. You can drag the item in the table and drop it in any location that you write like this. In this tutorial, I will show you how to do this kind of stuff step by step. And this is the two folder application that we have created in the tutorial part 7. And this is our API application, and this is our web application. In this tutorial, we're going to reuse this API and this web application to write this code in a jQuery to perform the drag and drop feature in your application. First, you need to run this API. So that because I'm going to reuse this API data for our drag and drop feature. After we had run this API in the Visual Studio, we just run this API. This is the data that we have created in the last tutorial in our API. So now our API has been run successfully. Next, we need to you can close this folder now. Now we need to run our web application. Open out this web application folder and double click on this our web application. And this application that we have created in the last tutorial. First, let's run this application first. And this is the application, but I cannot drag and drop the item inside this table yet. So in this tutorial, I will show you how to use this jQuery to write this drag and drop feature for this table. jQuery is the JavaScript library. Let's go back to our code. All our jQuery and the CSS files are inside this www root folder, and right now we only have this site.js JavaScript file, and inside this library we have this jQuery library is pre-installed by this system, by the Visual Studio. But we don't have this. We only have this jQuery library, but we don't have jQuery the UI library to perform this drag and drop feature. So we need to go to the JQuery-UI.com. This is the jQuery homepage. Somewhere over here, I want you to install this jQuery-UI stable version. Click on it, and you are going to download this jQuery-UI library into your machine. So click on this download file here, and double click on this folder. The only file that we need is this jQuery-UI library. So copy this file and go to our folder, web application folder. Go to this www root folder. Inside this JS folder, just paste it inside here. Let's go back to our Visual Studio, and you can see that you have list out in your JS folder the jQuery-UI library. This is the JavaScript library. So next, after we have set out this jQuery-UI library, next we need to include this library into our application. So what the thing that you need to do is to go to the view folder here, and under this view folder we have this shader folder. Expand out this shader folder and open out this underscore layout.cs HTML file, and scroll down until the end of the file here. This is the library, JavaScript library that has been included into our application. So we need this jQuery-UI library to be included inside here as well. So you can copy this. You need to put this library below this jQuery.js library. So here you can change the name to you will list out on the let's poke out this here and select this jQuery-UI. That's all for the setting of the library. Next, we can start to do the coding to perform this drag and drop for a table. So go to this view under this home folder, open up this index.cs HTML file. Scroll down a bit, and this is our table, and this is the column, or this table column that we want to be draggable and droppable. So we need to assign the div and put this the content inside this div, and assign a class to it. We can call this class drag item, and then just copy it and paste on the other item. And we need to cross this div tag or the HTML object. And after you have set out this class here, you next because this tutorial is meant on the JavaScript programming language, so almost all the code that we write on this tutorial is inside this site.js file here. And let's include this to make this class called drag item. So to include this class in the jQuery, you type dot followed by the class name. We name drag item, and then you can set this class to draggable. I think that's all. Let's run this program. So now let's try to drag our project one, and you can see now I can drag this project one. But after I release my mouse, it will stay at the location of the mouse. This is another ideal result, and I wonder after we drag this item and after we release our mouse, it will go back to the initial position. Let's go back to our JavaScript code here. So to enable this item to, after we release the mouse, it will go back to the initial position. We need to set this reverse to true. So and all this command is the jQuery command. Let's run this system again. Now let's try to drag again our project one, and you will see that now if I release my mouse, it will go back to the initial position. You can see, because we haven't set the drop function, so it cannot drop inside this table. So next we need to set this drop function for this table. Let's go back to the code again. To set this table, the td draggable, you can continue with this one. Draggable. You need to let this system or which target to be accepted for this draggable. So we type dot drag item. This is our drag item class name, and we need to set drop function event UR. I think that's all. Let's try again. Run this system. Now let's try to draw our project one and draw it somewhere at over here, and you can see that it didn't show anything yet because we need to add this content or draw item inside this new location. So to do this, let's go back to the Visual Studio Code again. Inside under this drop function here, first we need to assign a global variable. So type br, and we can name this global variable as a drag content. The table column index and the row index. The system will know where is the new location to be dragged for our drag item. So over here, let's create a table object document.getElementById. This is the JavaScript command to set our table object. Our table ID is the table underscore data. Let's go back to our index.cs HTML to check for our table ID, and you can see that our table, the ID is set to the table underscore data. let's go back to the site.js file here. After we have set this our object table object into this variable called table, and we can assign the column index equal to jQuery this dot parent dot children dot index, and then you put this keyword inside here. So this will be the location of our column index, and next we need to let the system know the row index as well. So we type the jQuery this dot parent and then parent again, followed by the children and index. And inside this index, we need a parameter called this parent node, and they were going to hold the value of our target row. Next, we need to set the content. So for this new location, we're going to be plus equal. So plus equals mean this draw item we're going to be put below the default content of this new location. And then we need to assign this div object with this class called draw item, and then followed by this draw content, and cross this div. So you need to set this drag content in our this draggable function here. So let's type start, and then we can say set our drag content equal to jQuery this .html. So there this drag content will hold this our drag item content HTML with this double quote. Forgot to type this function over here. We need to write this function and follow by this double quote, and I think this should be this, and I think this should be fine now. And let's try to run our system and to see the result. Let's try to move this project 1 to the project B, and you can see that the project 1 has been added inside this project B location, but our project 1 has been copied and moved back to the initial position, and this is not what we want. So we want this after we move this project 1 into the new location, you are going to remove out this project 1 from the initial position. So to do this, we need to go back to our Visual Studio Code here and go to our draw function here, and we need to add another code JQuery-UI.draggable. So this will be the target of our draw item, and we need to say to we need to remove it out. Actually, I think we can type this UI.draggable, and it's the first element, and inner followed by this inner text. Let's run the application and see the result. Now let's move this project 1 to the project B, and you can see that it has been moved to the project B. But the problem is after we move this project 1 into the new location and we want to move it again, we cannot, because it already lost this class, the draggable function. So we need to reset this draggable function inside this object here. So let's go back to our JavaScript code here. So after we drop the item, we need to set back this draggable, because we no longer need this drag content, so we can delete out this drag content. You can remove this global variable or this drag content. We need to make a copy of this and put it over here after we have draw the item. So let's try to run the application again. Let's try to move our project 1 to the project B, and try to move this project B1 again, and you can see now we can move it to the new location after we drop it into project B. Next, let's try to make some styling for this draw item by using this CSS. Go back to our Visual Studio and under this CSS folder, open up this site.css. You just find some location over here and type a dot followed by our draw. The class name is the draw item, and we can assign the font size maybe to something like 15 ps, and we need to let's try to apply some border to 1 ps solid black, and let's apply this border radius set to about 3 ps, and a background color let's say yellow, or you can change the color by click on here and click on this arrow here and maybe this color, and make some shadow, box shadow 0, 0, 20, and the shadow color 0.5. I think this should be fine. Let's try to run this program. You can see now you have some shadow effect, but I think there's another problem is you can see when I drag this project one over to the other object, and you can see that it was dragged behind the other item. So to solve this problem, we need to set this jet index for this drag item. So let's go back to our Visual Studio Code here, and let go back to this JavaScript file, and we need to set this this dot star dot jet index equal to 5. I think 5 is high enough, and we need to set this on the drag arrow function over here as well. Actually, we don't need to do this double setting. We can just assign let's say the drags, and then cut this one and go to the end of this code here and make a function called drag and put the code inside here. And we also can remove out this one and replace with this drag function. I think this one is to be fine now. Let's try to run this application to see the result. Now let's try to move this project one, and you can see now it's on the top of other item. Now we can draw it like before, but now there's another problem. When I move this one and then put it back to the owner location, and you can see it made another copy of the same content inside the same location. So to prevent this mistake, or to solve this problem, let's go back to Visual Studio Code here. We need to make this if condition to prevent this mistake. So we need to create another action listener to this table item. We call it mouse over function. Just move this, copy this, and put it over here. And for this one, you can use this set it to the local variable and use this underscore. After that, you can set the if statement. We said if the local row index is equal or is not equal to the global row index, and the column index, the local column index, also not equal to the local column index, then we can perform this action. So we need to type this or not and it means either this or this is not matched, then we will not going to perform this action. So we have to use this or condition. Let's run this application and see the result. Now let's try to move this project 1 to project B and move it back to the project 1, and then move it back to its own location, and you can see that now everything is fine. Now everything is working perfectly. And I think that's all for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I will show you how to save this data after we move the item to the new location. You're going to update the database in the for this new item in the new location, because this tutorial we never touch on this database. So if I refresh after we move the item to the new location and I reload this page, you will see that everything go back to the initial location. So see you in the next tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe if you think this tutorial is helpful. Thank you and see you again. Bye.